Hello, welcome to my completed Make 9 dressmaking goals for 2021. So normally I'll do a podcast every week where I talk about the different crafts that I've been up to each week, but this is a summary of all the things that I've made from my Make 9 goals for 2021. So what I'm going to do for a lot of these items, I'll be popping some images on the screen, some little videos of me doing twirls so you can see what it looks like on me, rather than me just holding the garments up so you can't see them properly. So first of all, I have made quite a few modifications to this list because I have been pregnant this year. So I've been pregnant since about February, so over the year, I'm due at the end of November, so over the year my body looks quite different in these different garments, and that's why I've made modifications to my list, in that some things I couldn't make. Like the first two items on my list originally were trousers and culottes, and because I can't fit them on my waist properly, I thought, well, I'll leave those till later and replace them with other things. So first of all, the first item was supposed to be trousers, but I have changed it to leggings because they're stretchy and they can be worn when I'm pregnant as well, which is always good because they're stretchy. So I chose the Belmont Leggings by Cashmerette, and I picked some fabric that I'd actually picked up from Aberkhan in Shrewsbury, and it was some very, very stretchy drapey jersey that I thought would be ideal for sort of leggings. With the Cashmerette pattern, I think really it is written so that you can actually make them in quite a thick jersey that doesn't have a lot of stretch. So when I made mine, I had to make some modifications so that they're quite a lot smaller than the pattern size that they suggest, because I'd used a much lighter weight, stretchier fabric. And you can actually see, if you look at the photograph that they've got on the front of the pattern, you can see that there is a little bit more room by the knees. It's not quite so tight, so it isn't supposed to be a sort of a skin tight pattern, but that's what I was looking for, so I have taken them in quite a bit when I made my first pair. I did make some modifications as well, where I reduced the height of the front crotch here, and I also made the back crotch deeper so it would go over my bum a bit, so that it looks like a bit of a strange shape when it's not on me, but on me they fit really nicely, so that's really good. So I'd made up the pattern as the standard size that I thought I needed to start with, and then I pinched them in and made some modifications later. But I have actually made 3 pairs of these now, and they're really useful to put under dresses and things. So the second thing on my list should have been culottes. I love culottes, and I was really looking forward to making them, but I thought actually I should probably wait till I've given birth, and then after I've sort of got back to a relatively normal weight, I can then make a pair for myself, rather than having to sort of keep adjusting them with the baby weight, etc. But I replaced this with the Kalle Shirt from Closet Core Patterns, and this is quite an oversized shirt, so I thought there'd be plenty of room for the bump if it grows, and it's just a nice comfy item to wear. So this fabric that I picked was from Rainbow Fabrics, and it was a yellow sort of large gingham print, which I thought was so nice and bright. I'd actually watched a podcast where I saw somebody wearing a yellow gingham shirt, and I thought, well, I need to get some fabric similar to that. When I saw it on Rainbow Fabrics, I thought, yes, I need a shirt in that fabric. So here is my Kalle shirt. You can see how it comes just past my waist. The original pattern said to have it 2 inches shorter, so I've added those 2 inches. The back here comes just over my bum, which is a really nice length, I think. It is quite baggy at the back, which I'm not in love with this, how baggy it is here, but I like the oversized effect on the rest of the garment. I love the grown on sleeves, and I really enjoyed sewing the collar on this. And I just love the diagonal checks on the button placket and pocket as well. I'm definitely going to be doing that again. So there we go, that's my Kalle shirt. I made it up and I just did 1 pocket, but actually I think I should have done 2. I think that would have looked really nice. I keep meaning to go back and sew another one on the other side, and I will at some point. But it is a lovely top to wear. I tend to wear it with a little vest top underneath, but I have worn that quite a lot, and I will be making more. It is a mixture of cotton and polyester, the one I've made, but I'm really looking forward to actually making a viscose one so it's nice and drapey, so you don't get so much of an oversized look. So the third item on my Make 9 list was woven dresses. Now I did have some other dresses on my list, such as the Charlotte dress by Sew Over It, which I've been meaning to make for ages, but because it has got a waistband, I thought I'm going to leave that till later and make up some other patterns. One of the patterns that I really have loved for a while is the Indigo pattern, and I've made quite a few tops in the Indigo pattern, but I hadn't made a dress version. So I'd picked some fabric in an ochre doubled gauze because I thought, well, that would be ideal for sort of very summery months, but also wintry as well. And I did the shorter sleeve version so that then in the winter months I could just pop a cardi over the top. And that came out really lovely. So with it being a double gauze fabric, it was quite sort of structured, because it doesn't drape quite as nicely as like a viscose or something. But I did like the finished item, although I did, at the time I was umming and ahhing whether I was going to add some waist ties just to give me a little bit of shape. But I didn't in the end, and I think I'm going to go back and add those in, even though I've done French seams at the side, just because I can then pull it just under my bust and give me a little bit of shape. And also I think that those waist sort of ties, or ties that just by the bust anyway to bring it in, they help sort of lift the pockets, so if you've got something in your pocket it isn't swinging about quite as much. Because I do find when I pop things in the pockets in that garment that they do swing about a little bit and are a little bit annoying. I also found that after I'd made that, I'd realised that on quite a few garments I really needed to bring the pocket up a couple of inches because I must have really short arms. So with the other dress I'm going to talk about in a second, I did actually bring the pockets up 2 inches and they're at the perfect height. So the Indigo dress, I found that they are slightly on the low side because of my little arms. I am quite a short person, I am 5'3", so things do tend to come up quite long on me anyway. But I think the length of it looked really nice on. I will be making more Indigo dresses. They are a lovely shape and so comfy, and doesn't sort of cling to your tummy if you're going out for dinner. So the next pattern in the woven dresses section was the Skye dress by Tilly and the Buttons as well. Now this is a new pattern that came out earlier this year for the summer, and it's a really lovely dress with like a sort of a squared neckline with no sleeves. You can go for a maxi version, a midi length and the short version. And I actually made the shortest version because I'm a bit short. I'm 5'3", and actually that came to my knee, so it was perfect. With the sizes with the newer Tilly and the Buttons dresses go to a really nice range, so I tend to go for a size 9 for my hips and bottom area, and I go for a size 6 at the shoulders. So you have to sort of select which size range that you want, which best suits you. It's better if I choose the lower size range so that I can combine those two sizes, because the lower size range goes up to a 10 and the higher size range goes up from a size 8. So for me, because I need to combine the 6 and the 9, the lower size range just about fits me, which is unusual. So I'm really pleased with that dress. I did think that actually it came slightly low on here, but I am planning on wearing it with t-shirts more underneath as like a layering piece rather than just the dress on its own. With the pocket, like I was talking about before, because I'd found that the pocket on the Indigo dress was a bit low for me, I actually lifted this one 2 inches and it was a perfect height. And I also added waist ties so that it gives me a bit of shape under the bust. Oh, and one thing I also added was I lined the bodice at the top fully, but the original pattern says to use bias binding, but I think that had been just as easy. I thought with me using it as a layering piece, with having 2 layers of fabric, be slightly cozier for sort of autumn time. So number 4 is my skirts target. So I wanted to make a couple more skirts, and I only ended up making 2 Fiore skirts, and the Fiore pattern is a closet core pattern, and there are 3 different views. You've got a crossover view, which I actually made later last year rather than this year, but I will include it in this video so you can see the sort of different variations. And that was the sort of just past the knee length, and I really like that. The only thing is that the pocket is just 1 one side, and when I made up that version I'd been better off so that the pocket was on my right side, so that's the hand that I like to put in my pocket all the time, rather than making it up so that the pocket was on the left, if that makes sense. But it's a really interesting construction, and it's a really lovely shape as well. I really like that one. And that fabric was from Rainbow Fabrics, and that was a viscose linen fabric that I picked up, must have been at the end of last year, in like a gorgeous blue colour. I made a second version out of some fabric from Sherwood Fabrics, and this was a Lady McElroy, and it was a linen chambray, which was really lovely. And it was, I think the pattern was the foliage canopy print, and that was really nice. And I decided to have a go at doing the one with the centre button placket, but the shorter length, which came just to my knee. I think I preferred it being slightly longer actually, rather than having it's a little bit on the shorter side, and I think because it is a little bit shorter it doesn't flare out so much at the sides, and I prefer the sort of more flared look. So the next target, number 5, was jumpsuits. Now again, I had the same issue of wanted to make something that I could wear when I was pregnant as well. I had a couple of jumpsuits in mind: the Shelby romper by True Bias and the Zadie jumpsuit by Paper Theory, but I thought I'd go for something a lot more oversized, so I chose the Leo Dungarees, which are sort of like a jumpsuit. They're very oversized legs with a bib at the front with these cute little ties on the shoulders. So I thought I'd have a go at that. I ended up just picking the straight size that the sizes recommend out of the pattern, and the size range were really inclusive as well, which was really good. I did find, however, that I could have gone down a couple of sizes because the legs are absolutely massive. You could sew size down a little bit, but I thought I'd go for the size that they suggest, just so that I've got a bit more room for my bump. And I've been wearing it up till now, and at the moment I'm 8 months pregnant when, as of recording of this video. They're really good as a garment for pregnant people as well as everybody else, which is brilliant. So the Leo Dungarees is by Hand London, and the fabric I used again was from Rainbow Fabrics. It was a navy viscose twill which had some lovely drape, and it was quite a heavy fabric, so ideal for sort of dungarees, and I'm really pleased with how those come out. So next on my list was a bra. So what I had done on previous occasions, I tried out a couple of patterns and they hadn't really worked for me in terms of fit and things, so I was going to draft my own from an M&S bra. But I did see that there was a lot of good reviews for the Black Beauty by Emerald Erin, and I did try out making those, but they still weren't quite the fit that I wanted. I think I needed to sort of tilt the cups a little bit to get it to lift basically, but actually I think that that's a good recommended starting pattern if you are looking for a proper pattern for a bra, rather than making it from an existing bra that you bought from a shop. So I did find that I'd got a couple of bras from M&S which are a really nice fit. So what I wanted to do was copy the fit and make a bra that fitted me really, really nicely, and then I could perhaps learn about how to modify other patterns to get them to fit me as well. So I got the bra that I was interested in copying, and I basically just laid out the pieces on the table and tried to copy the little panels on it. If you look closely, this is the one I ended up making in the end. There's 3 panels at the bottom of the cup, like a power bar, 2 panels at the bottom, and then this top panel here with a bit of lace on. And I tried to copy that, and I did actually make about 4 versions of this before I got it so that it would fit, so it was a bit of trial and error. But I had learnt from making the other previous bra patterns how to sort of assemble the straps, where to get my fabric from, and what different fabrics need to be put in different areas of the bra, if that makes sense. So I used a power mesh to do the back band. Obviously you can buy the hook and eyes for the back. You can have the rings and sliders that you can buy separately. You need, for a bigger bust anyway, you need the lace to be non-stretchy really, and then a duoplex underneath to give it some nice strength so that it lifts the bust up. and I was pleased with how this came out. The only thing that it isn't quite right about this particular one, the one that fit in the end, was that the material I used is a little bit, it's not as comfortable as some of the other kits that I'd sort of purchased before. It's not the best quality, so I'm going to make more of these in some really nice soft fabrics, but I got the fit, which is the main idea. And I also added a little bow at the front just to finish it off a little bit. But you can see that it's got the underwires inside. For this particular one, I was running out of black underwire channeling, so I ended up using one that was a slightly different shade on one cup to the other, but just to get the fit, it doesn't really matter. So that was my thing ticked off my list, to get a bra that actually fits me made up. I'll pop some links to the resources that I found useful for bra making in the description bar down below as well. So number 7 is the Lola Coat by Sew Over It, and that is my most recent make, and it is basically a non-lined coat that they suggest you use sort of woven fabrics for, but I did make mine with a loop back jersey just because I thought, well, they're quite broad size ranges. For instance, the one I actually made up was an 18 to 20, and I normally take about a size 22 in the Sew Over It patterns, so I thought if I do it in a jersey that'll give me a little bit more leeway. But actually it's quite oversized anyway, so that was brilliant, and it fitted just using straight out the packet 18 to 20. But although I did take a couple of inches off the sleeve length because I've got shorter arms, but I did actually cut out the full pattern piece and then adjust it after I've assembled the rest of the garment, and I just hemmed the cuffs to the length that I wanted it to be. So I made the jacket version rather than the coat version, to be honest, because I was very worried about the length being too long for me, because Lisa Comfort, who models, the lady who runs Sew Over It and also models it, the longer version came to her knees, and she's well over 6 foot and I'm only 5'3", so I thought, well, I'll go for the jacket version and see how I got on with that first. So I purchased 4 meters of a grey loop back jersey from Rainbow Fabrics to try out as a bit of a sort of wearable muslin really, in some not too expensive fabric. It was about $6.99 a metre, just to get the fit and see how it works and see if I liked it made out of a jersey fabric. And actually it came out really nicely, and but I only used 2 meters. Although the fabric I used was 180 centimeters wide, I only used 2 meters of that, but it was a non-directional print as well, so if you had a directional print it would obviously take you more fabric. But I have got 2 meters left for that, so I can make something else with it as well. So with the Lola Coat, it is in an ebook which is called the City Break ebook, which is a combination of other patterns. There is a shirt, there is a pair of jeans, the Mia jeans, and the Molly t-shirt as well. So you'll buy in the full set of patterns rather than just the one pattern, which, if you want them all, which is brilliant because it's quite good value for money then, but if you just want to make the coat out of the whole set, it works out quite expensive. So you just have to work out how much you want that pattern really. So number 8 was stretchy dresses, more stretchy dresses, because I find they are so wearable and it's like wearing secret pyjamas, isn't it? So the stretchy dress that I did sort of have in mind to try out this time, instead of sticking to the ones I'd done before, was the heather dress by Sew Over It. But I did change my mind because I was a bit worried it was going to skim my hips too much. I wanted to go with something a bit more fluted, especially because I've been pregnant. I went back to my Zadie dress, which is one of my favourite stretchy dress patterns by Tilly and the Buttons, and I made 2 versions with the short sleeve. So with fabrics that I'd planned to make those for ages. I actually made time to make them up, which I'm really pleased about because they were a real staple of my wardrobe. So the Zadie dress does have different versions. So there is a very short sleeve version in the pattern, and then there's a longer sleeve. I can't remember if it was a full length. I think it was a full length. But I have made some 3/4 length versions in the past, which is this one as well. This is a Zadie dress as well. I did cut mine 3/4 length sleeves for the sort of longer sleeve ones I've done, but I felt that the very short sleeve was a bit short on me. I wanted it to come a bit over the shoulder, so what I did is just cut down the longer sleeve piece to make my sleeves about here, so that I was nice and comfortable with it right over my shoulder. So these two versions were cut out of those same pattern then. One of them was made out of an art gallery fabrics that I picked up from Minerva Crafts, and it was like a grey background with the bright florals on it, which I really loved. That was one of my favourite fabrics I've ever seen. I saw it in a magazine once, and then I realised there was a jersey version, so I've made a t-shirt and a Zadie dress out of that fabric. And the other version was a cotton jersey that I picked up from Elsa Fabrics, and it's like a watercolour florals on a navy black ground, which I love as well. So I'm really pleased that I've made those up. They're so wearable. I've been wearing them so during the summer with my sort of knee length leggings underneath, just because I feel more comfortable with them on, but you can also wear them with full length leggings and boots as well to sort of make them more wintry. So I do have about 6 Zadie dresses now, which is it's always good because I wear them loads. The other one of my stretchy dresses that I did manage to sew up this year, and this was earlier in February, was a Georgie dress by Sew Over It. So this pattern has a fluted skirt with a crossover top, which is like a faux wrap, which I love the shape of it, and I made mine out of a viscose jersey. Now there was 2 types of skirt panel on there, and Sew Over It suggested that you used a viscose jersey for the less fluted one and the straighter skirt, and used a thicker sort of double knit to make the more fluted one, but I just thought I'm going to go for it, I'm going to try it and see. So I did mine in a viscose jersey, which was quite lightweight and drapey, with the fluted version skirt, and I also added pockets as well. Now obviously if you put things that are heavy in your pockets, with it being a viscose jersey, it does drag down a bit, but I did stabilise the side seams with some elastic tape as well, so that they're not going to go anywhere, it's not going to tear or anything, so it's still a durable wearable dress. And I chose some really cute red heart sort of leopard print black and red jersey because it was sort of Valentine's Day themed, and I'm really pleased I made that up. I want to make more of those because they're ideal being like a faux wrap for breastfeeding and things, so I'm going to make more of those. I did choose to do a 3/4 length sleeve, but I hope to make some short sleeve ones as well for the summer for next year, because it's a really lovely pattern. The red and black viscose jersey was also from Rainbow Fabrics. I've realised I've used an awful lot of Rainbow Fabrics over the last year, which is good because I do tend to purchase quite a lot from them, because they sell quite a lot of dead stock fabrics that are really inexpensive, and you get quite a good quality for what you pay for. So the last thing on my list was a cardigan. Now I was umming and ahhing between different patterns for this one. I had on my list to start with the fuller cardigan by Cashmerette, but I decided actually I think I was going to go for the Blackwood cardigan instead. So the Blackwood cardigan is by Helen's Closet, and it is a cardigan that's not meant to meet at the front. It's sort of it's supposed to have like a 2-inch gap. And it's a longer cardigan, sort of keep you cosy. I decided on that rather than the fuller cardigan. I may go back to it at some point, but I did make 3 Blackwood cardigans this year. So the first one I made was in a grey, quite a thick double knit fabrics, and I picked this fabric and actually the 2 fabrics that I've made the other 2 versions out from as well, from Watson and Thornton in Shrewsbury, which is somewhere that I pop to when I go and visit my parents. It's a lovely fabric shop in Shrewsbury. They do quite a lot of nice jersey fabrics, so I do recommend popping in there if you are near. So the grey one I made to start with, I did the full length of cardigan with the big band on the bottom, but I did cut the sleeves to 3/4 length sleeves because I do tend to wear 3/4 length sleeves more than longer sleeves just generally. When I made that up, I loved the shape of it, but I just thought I didn't know whether it's a little bit long for some outfits, so I thought I'll make another couple of versions that are a little bit shorter. So I found with the Blackwood cardigan, I ended up, because it was a non-directional print, I think I ended up using 2.5 meters for those, so I had quite a bit left over, which is good because I could use it for other bits and bobs. But the other two fabrics, I had a slightly lighter weight Pontoroma in the blue and also a coral colour as well, and I only had 1.5 meters of those, and I did manage to get the Blackwood cardigan just without the band at the bottom out of that 1.5 meters with it being non-directional, so I was really pleased about that. And it's nice to have a few different coloured cardigans to go with different outfits. So that is my Make 9 for 2021. What I will do is in the description box below I will pop links to all the patterns and the websites where I got the fabrics from for each of the items that I've shown you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye!